They tell me the stain on the floor is rust. They are wrong. Every morning they roll my bed past it. Same corridor, same pale green paint, same humming lights, same weak coffee smell from the kitchen. The linoleum buckles slightly where the old tiles meet the new ones. Right there, in the dip, is the shape. Brown, irregular, like somebody dropped a bucket of dirty water years ago and never cleaned it properly. It was not water. My name is Otto Weiss. In '44 I was sent Unteroffizier in Fallschirmjager Regiment 3, up at Monte Cassino. Our forward aid post was jammed into the monastery wall, close enough to hear the monks chanting on one side and our own men screaming on the other. I spent nights on my knees in corridors just like this, hands in other people's blood, watching it pool into that same shape on stone. I hear it before I see it now. A slow, thick drip that does not match the buzzing of the fluorescence or the soft squeak of rubber soles. The sound comes from above and from under the floor at the same time, one heavy drop at a time. It lands in my chest before it lands on the ground. Guten Morgen, Herr Weiss, the nurse says. Ina. She checks the chart at the end of my bed, then peels the edge of my bandage back to look at the incision. Looks good. We'll change it later, she smiles. I stare over her shoulder at the stain. My leg throbs in the old place. Not where they cut for the bypass last year. That wound sits neat and white and clean, a doctor's work. Higher just above the knee. A line of heat running sideways, as if someone pressed a hot wire through the flesh and then slid it out again. I know that line. I closed it once with these hands. On a boy from my own company who would not stop bleeding in a stone corridor while Latin psalms rolled through the wall behind his head. Don't touch it, I say. She blinks. The dressing. The wound. It's healing fine, Herr Weiss. It is not. Not the one she means. That one is quiet, sleeping under stitches. The one that wakes when we roll past the stain is older. It lies under the scar like a second mouth, waiting to open. Ina changes the subject. She asks about breakfast, about my grandson, about the television volume at night. She thinks I am confused when I watch documentaries about a certain hill and turn the sound down when they show the monastery. On the screen it is always the same, the stone mass of Monte Cassino before the bombs. The slow rising dust when they hit it. Men running like insects at the base. Tanks bogged in mud. Smoke on the slopes. They never show the rooms under the hill. They never show what was in the cracks of those walls. We passed the stain. My fingers curl against the blanket. I smell dust and incense under the disinfectant. I hear Latin under the nurse's chatter. There is a whisper from the floor. Not loud. Just a word dragged through rock and plaster. Zurich back. I close my eyes. The bed stops. Someone curses in Italian down the corridor. A radio plays a pop song in the staff room. The drip stops. Only my heart keeps going, slow and stubborn. It has done that for too long. I did not always lie flat and let others push me. I used to run uphill with my bag slamming against my spine, bandages thumping, morphine clinking in glass vials, and men shouting my name. Back then, I followed orders as best I could. One order more than any other. Do not close the same wound twice. It was not in any manual, not from any doctor. It came from that hill and the people who lived in its shadow long before we turned it into rubble. The first time I hear it, I am 23 and still stupid enough to believe that rules are written by officers. We are in a farmhouse kitchen in the valley below Cassino. The sky outside is low, heavy with rain and smoke. New Zealanders and Indians have tried to break us for weeks now. The monastery looks down on us from its rock, whole still, white against the dark slope. Our aid post is half a kilometer away. In a wine cellar we have turned into a place of blood. We stand here because Oberarzt Muller wants eggs. He thinks it is good for morale if his medics eat something that did not come from a tin at least once a week. So he sends me and another man, Franz, to barter with the locals. Franz is a stretcher bearer from Dusseldorf with a loud voice and a laugh that rolls out of him like beer foam. He is older than me by 6 years, and he has 3 gold teeth he likes to flash when he makes jokes about our officers. The Italian woman who owns the house is small and wiry. Her name is Teresa. The lines on her face could be mud cracks on a dry field. She moves around us like we are furniture. Pots clatter. The smell of frying olive oil wraps around the room. There is a shrine in the corner by the door, a small painted Madonna with a chipped face and a candle that is only a stub now. Teresa's son stands by the wall, hands in his pockets. Angelo, maybe 16, maybe 18. It is hard to tell. He watches us like we are wolves. His hair falls over his forehead. His shirt cuffs are frayed. He wears a wooden rosary around his wrist, as if it were a cuff. Franz tries Italian with his mouth full of German uova. Ferdinand doctor. He taps his own sleeve where a red cross would be. Senator, we help your boys too when they come down sea. Good to have. How do you say, friends? Teresa mutters something without looking at him. She cracks eggs into a bowl. Fast, careful. Yolks break. Shells clink on the table. She does not smile. She says something to Angelo. He shrugs, answers with a phrase that sounds like he is spitting. The only word I catch is Monte. Wasagda. Franz nudges me. You studied Latin. That is almost Italian. I did not. I learned enough Latin in school to read a label on a church window. Still, I listen. The word Angelo repeats is ferita wound. He points upward, through the ceiling, through the low clouds, through the stone and the monastery to where the hill shoulder carries scars of shell holes and trench lines. He draws his hand across his stomach and chest in one long line. Una ferita sola, he says. His eyes are on me now. Dark, angry, or afraid. Capus una volta. Nandu. Teresa says his name sharp. Angelo. He keeps going. Softer now, like a man telling a ghost to shut up. Una volta si chewed. La seconda. He makes a twisting motion with his fingers, as if he is wringing out wet cloth. Nan, payu, nostra, swa. I look at the Madonna in the corner. The candle flickers in a draft that I cannot feel. Ask them, I say to Franz. What does he mean? Franz waves his hand. Old stories. Every village has them. They think this hill is special. Don't we all? He grins, shows his gold teeth. We take the eggs, we say Danke, and we go before he curses us. Teresa sets a plate in front of us. Scrambled eggs, bread, coffee, that tastes like burned wheat. As we eat, she speaks fast and low to Angelo. He makes another cutting gesture across his chest. His knuckles are white. When we leave, Teresa presses a small cloth packet into my hand. It is stiff, with dried something. I think it is herbs, rosemary, thyme. When I open it later, under a hedgerow on my way back to the aid post, a small dried flower falls out, red, shriveled. There is also a thin strip of cloth with a dark stain on it. I sniff. Iron. I hold it between thumb and forefinger. It feels warmer than it should. On the hill above us, artillery opens up. The monastery takes another set of hits. Bells ring once, twice, then are swallowed by the thump of shells. I put the cloth back in the packet and shove it deep into my pocket. Back at the aid post, Muller laughs when I tell him. Local superstition, Weiss. They blame the mountain when a man bleeds out instead of the shrapnel that cut him. Configure your thinking. He taps his temple. An artery does not care about saints. He eats the eggs anyway. He does not spit the legends out with the shells. Our aid post is a long stone room carved into the hillside. It used to hold wine. Now it holds stretchers. The air is damp. The walls weep. The floor is always slick underfoot. Candles flicker in niches where bottles used to stand. We have a generator, but we do not waste its power on more than a single bulb over the operating table. Every day they bring us men, Fallschirmjager in their green smocks, faces smeared with mud and powder. Infantry from the line companies down in the town. Sometimes an Italian civilian with a face full of glass. Sometimes a British or Indian prisoner who took a piece of our artillery and lived long enough to be carried down. My hands learn the map of wounds faster than any atlas of the front. Entry here, exit there. Twin holes in the thigh, jagged tear in the shoulder, burned line across the side, shrapnel, bullets, stone splinters. Each wound has a shape, a texture under the glove, a certain smell when you clean it. Infection has its own breath. Gangrene too. You begin to recognize them the way you recognize comrades' faces from behind. Some days, the pattern is random. A leg, an arm, a head, a broken rib. Other days, it is as if the hill itself has decided on a theme. That week, it is a line. Not clean like a surgeon's incision. Not random like a blast. A long, slightly curved cut that runs from just under the ribs, across the belly, to the opposite flank. Always the same angle, always the same side, as if some careful hand has drawn it first with a finger and then opened it with a knife, copying a template we cannot see. The first is Unteroffizier Kruger from 2 Company. We know him as a man who always ties his bootlaces twice, then tugs on them once more to be sure. He jokes about it, says that if the devil wants his feet, he will have to untie them first. We lay him on the table. His smock is dark around the middle. Muller cuts it away. There it is, the line. Bleeding slow, dark, too neat for shrapnel. What did this? Muller frowns. Kruger's teeth chatter. Wire, he says. Thought it was barbed. Felt like barbed. Then there was nothing. Just open. We clean it. Irrigate. Pack. I close it stitch by stitch with catgut. The edges meet nicely. It is almost satisfying. At the end, I run a finger along the seam. His skin twitches. Kinda angst, I say. You will curse me when I pull these out. He manages a grin. Then you will see I am the devil. We send him to the back, to the stretchers along the wall. 2 hours later, Franz comes in with another man. Same company. Same path down from a forward foxhole near the Polish positions. They drop the stretcher on the same table. The man is cursing in Bavarian. When we pull his jacket up, there is the same line. Was hail, Muller mutters. Is there a wire this high all along that trench? Franz scratches his head. We cut the wire before. Today there was no time. Maybe they strung new. He does not believe it. I hear it in his voice. We clean, we stitch. Later, when I sit on an upturned crate and drink lukewarm coffee, Angelo's words creep back. Una ferita sola. 1 wound. The second is not ours anymore. The next day, the monastery takes the big hit. We hear the bombers before we see them. A low growl through the cloud, like distant thunder. Men in the trenches lift their heads, squinting upward. Down here in the rock, the sound comes down the stairway in waves. Metal racks rattle. Instruments bounce on trays. Someone shouts in the passage. Casino. They are bombing the monastery. We spill out into the narrow ledge outside the aid post. The hill drops away below us in terraces of rock and scrub. Smoke already lies in the valley like a gray lake. Above, the plains are dark crosses against a white sky. Bombs fall. For a moment they are only small shadows moving faster than gravity should allow. Then the monastery erupts. Stone flies upward like water. Dust billows. Walls fold in. The air hits us a second later. A flat hand of pressure. My teeth vibrate. My ears go dead, then fill with a high, thin ringing that will never leave me entirely. For a heartbeat, over everything, I hear bells. Clear, sharp, close. Not the muddled clang of damaged metal. Not the jangle of alarm. A measured peal. 3 notes, then 4, then a pause. As if someone up there has decided to ring for the dead while the roof falls on his head. Franz makes a sign of the cross without thinking. He is not a churchgoer. His fingers move by themselves. Did you hear that? I shout. What? The bells? He stares at me. There are no bells anymore, he says. They took them down weeks ago so they would not fall on us. Dust rolls down the slope. It tastes of history and bone. We work until our hands cramp. The bombing shakes loose the monastery, and half the mountain with it. Our cave fills with men who used to fight at the top and now cough stone out of their lungs. Kruger is one of them. He should be in the rear already, on a truck to Rome. Instead, he comes limping down the corridor with a hand pressed to his side, blood seeping between his fingers. Franz and another bearer pull him onto a stretcher. His eyes roll white. "You were supposed to be gone," I say. "Bombs," he pants. "They hit the column." I went back. Easier in the trenches than on the road. We pull his hand away. His field dressing is soaked. Underneath, the neat line I closed yesterday has opened along its full length. The stitches hang like snapped harp strings. Blood wells up, slow and thick, then faster as if it remembers what to do. My hands move automatically. Clamp, gauze, pressure. Muller appears at my shoulder. His face is darker with dust now. His glasses are crooked. We both press down. The blood seeps between our fingers. "More gauze," he barks. I reach for the tray. The packet from Teresa falls out of my pocket with the movement. It hits the floor and splits. The dried flower skids in a tiny arc, stops against Kruger's boot. He sees it. "Nice," he whispers. "Bringing me flowers now, Senator. Am I so pretty?" I ignore him. I slap more gauze on the wound. My palm slides. Heat radiates from the cut like from a stove door. "Clamp," Muller says. I freeze. A phrase pushes up in my mind like a hand from a grave. "Una volta si chewed." One time you close it. The second, it is no longer yours. My fingers sink in. For a second, I feel not flesh, but stone. Cold, rough, as if the wound goes through Kruger and into the mountain behind him. There is a sensation like cold breath rising against my wrist from inside the cut. I jerk back. Muller curses. "What are you doing?" Pressure. The room tilts. Candles smear into yellow smudges. Under the table, the dried flower of Teresa's packet is leaking color. A dark red pool spreads around it, even though there is no water. No fresh petal. Kruger groans. His head rolls to the side. He tries to grab my sleeve. "Weiss, don't let. I step back. 1, 2 paces. My hands hang empty in the air. They are clean. Not a drop on them, though the table is red. Muller shoves past me, yelling for another medic. "Hold this. Now." Franz slams his palms down on the wound. His face twists. Warm shag. It's like holding a boiler. I press myself against the opposite wall. The rock is damp under my shoulder. I can feel the whole hill through it. It is not in the shape of a monastery on clear postcards. It is a mass, heavy and indifferent, with a vein running through it, where men lie in holes and think they are separate from it. Otto, Muller snaps. "Get back here." I shake my head. The words from the farmhouse pin my feet. Not twice. Not twice. Something moves in the corner where the passage to the rear meets our tunnel. A shadow thicker than the others. It stands against the wall, like a man in a robe, hood up, hands hidden in sleeves. For a second, I see the outline of a cow, the slope of shoulders. Then a stretcher passes in front of it, and it is gone. No one else reacts. Franz grunts. His fingers slip. Blood sprays up, hits him in the face. His gold teeth flash red when he bares them. "Gottverdammt Scheig," he gasps. He is emptying himself. He is not. He is filling something. There is no science in that thought. No logic. I know arteries and veins and blood volume. I know how much a man can lose before the light goes out in his eyes. Kruger passes that point and keeps going. The pool on the floor grows. It seeps into cracks in the old stone. It does not smell metallic anymore. It smells like wet soil in a churchyard. Muller's voice cracks. "Tourniquet. Higher now." We wrap. We tie. We clamp. The wound laughs at us. Not in sound. In motion. It opens wider. The edges seem to pull back, exposing something dark beyond tissue, as if we are looking into a cave mouth that goes deep into the hill. Kruger's head falls back. His eyes find mine. "You're the medic," he croaks. "You're supposed to do something." I do. I take a step back. I can't. I say. It is not loud. It might not be audible over the groans, the distant artillery, the clatter of instruments, but I hear it. He hears it. The hill hears it. Muller does not turn. He is too busy swearing at the clamps, at the gauze, at the uselessness of our hands. Franz's arms tremble. His fingers slip again. He tries to hold the edges together. For a moment, the line of the wound closes. The blood patters slower. Then the skin pulls away, as if something inside is pushing it open from within. Kruger's last breath leaves his chest in a sigh that sounds like the start of a question. The light under the bulb flickers. In the corridor, someone shouts that more wounded are coming. Always more. The mountain does not tire. We cover Kruger's face with a sheet. The wound keeps seeping under the cloth, a darker patch spreading slowly, like a mouth chewing. When they carry him out, I see the dried flower again. It lies bone pale now, color drained, petals crumbling. I grind it under my heel. That night, I sleep sitting up against the wall in the back of the cave. Men snore. Someone mutters in his dreams. The generator coughs and dies. The bulb goes out. Candles burn low. I wake to the sound of dripping. Not rain. Not water from the ceiling. A slow, sticky drip that seems to come from the center of the room. I stand. My knees pop. I walk toward it, one hand on the wall. The air smells of iodine and sweat and something else. Earth after plowing. A field opened up. There, on the empty table, is a dark shape. For a second, I think they have left a body unclaimed. I reach for the sheet. My fingers close on nothing. The whiteness is an impression only. The table is bare. The metal is cold under my palm. The drip comes from underneath. I crouch. A single drop hangs from the edge of the table, fat and black in the candle glow. It falls into a small pool on the floor. The pool does not spread. It does not flow toward the drain. It only deepens, as if the stone is sucking it inward. A whisper runs along the walls. Not words, a rhythm, like the opening of a litany. I remember church when I was a boy. The priest speaking Latin he did not fully understand. The congregation responding by habit. Here, under Cassino, there is no priest. Only stone and blood, and men who think their decisions are their own. When morning comes, and the generator splutters back to life, the floor under the table is clean. We get 3 more belly wounds that day. Same line, same angle. Different men. I close 2 of them. My hands move on their own now. Needle through skin, tie, cut, press, dress. Each knot feels like a lie, but I tie it anyway. Muller watches me from behind his glasses. He sees the slight tremor in my fingers and says nothing. The third comes at dusk. He is a British soldier. His battle dress is torn. There is no rank I recognize on his sleeve. His face is gray. His lips are blue. He should be dead already from the jeep ride down the mule track. Franz dumps his helmet on a crate and wipes his forehead. He was in a shell hole with 2 of ours, he says. They bled out. He kept talking, wouldn't shut up. Asked for a padre. We don't have a padre, Muller shrugs. He has a medic instead. We cut the uniform away. The line is there, from just under his ribs to his side. It has not bled much yet. That is wrong. It yawns like a smile, waiting to open. The British soldier grabs my wrist. His English is thick with an accent I have not heard before. Maybe from the north. Maybe from a place that smells of sea and coal. Don't let them do it twice, he rasps. My scalp prickles. I answer in broken words, mixing English and German. Do what twice? He closes his eyes. His hand tightens. His nails bite into my glove. Stitches. His teeth chatter. Not again. Not again on the same cut. First time is theirs. Second time is his. Who? I whisper. His head lolls to the side. He stares past me at the damp ceiling, at the veins of water in the rock. Monk, he says. On the hill. Black habit. No face. Saw him the first night. Over our wounded. Father O'Leary said it was just the rest of the sentence dissolves into a groan as Muller probes the wound. Focus. Weiss, Muller snaps. We don't have the luxury of listening to foreign fairy tales. The British soldier arches his back. Don't? He gasps. Leave it. Better to bleed clean than to sew it shut for him. Franz whistles softly. Seems the English have the same stories as Angelo's mama. I look at the line of the cut. It pulses faintly. The skin at the edges is pale, as if it does not belong to a living man. Clamp, Muller says again. I hesitate. The cave breathes around us. Men shift on their stretchers. Someone laughs weakly at a joke. Artillery thumps far above. The stone carries all of it, blending it into one low hum. A shadow stands in the doorway, not moving, hooded. Still, it is where the faint light from outside meets the dim inside. At first, I think it is Angelo. The height might fit, the patience, the watching. Then the candle near the door flickers, and the shadow does not change. Faces should change in flickering light. This one does not. My scalp tightens. Sweat runs down my spine. Otto, Muller says. Now, my hand floats toward the clamp. The British soldier's eyes snap to mine. Please, he whispers. Leave it. Let it stay open. One wound, one time. That's the rule. My fingers close around the metal. Cold, solid, real. I step back. No, I say. Muller rounds on me. What? I won't do it, I say. My voice is steadier than I feel. Find someone else. The British soldier's grip slackens. His head falls back. His chest rises and falls shallowly. Franz's mouth opens. No joke comes out. What nonsense is this? Muller hisses. He grabs the clamp from my hand. You're a medic. You obey orders. You, he trails off. The shadow in the doorway has not moved. It fills the frame. Height of a man. Bulk of a robe. No detail. Only darkness darker than the rest. Muller blinks. He shakes his head once, as if he has stepped out of a cloud of fumes. It's the dust, he mutters. Playing tricks with the light. He leans over the wound. He clamps. He stitches. The British soldier's breathing slows. I rest my weight against the far wall. I touch the stone. It is slick with condensation. Under the slimy surface, it is warm. I feel a pulse in it. Not mine. That night the drip is louder. We lose power completely. No generator. Only candles and the luminous dials of watches. Outside, the valley flashes with gunfire. Inside, the shadows move like water. I do not sleep. I sit on a crate with my back to the wall and my bag between my knees. I roll bandages that will be soaked before noon. I count morphine vials. I do not think about stitches. At some point between the third and fourth distant barrage, I hear chanting. At first I think it is the wounded. Men sometimes mutter prayers in their sleep. German, Latin, Italian, mixed. This is not any of those. The rhythm is wrong, slow, heavy. Each syllable drops like a stone into a well. It seems to come from the rock itself. I stand. The drip sinks with the words. One drop per line. It falls in the center of the room, where we scrub the floor most often. Franz, I whisper. He snores softly on his cot in the back. The sound is normal, human. I do not want normal. I want his loud voice cutting through this. I take 3 steps into the middle of the cave. The air feels thicker. My skin prickles, as if I have walked through a curtain of cobwebs. The chanting grows louder. It resolves into something I know from home, but twisted. The cadence of a Kyrie, but all wrong. The phrases run backward, sucking instead of giving. Shapes stand between the stretchers. At first I think they are patients up on their elbows. Then I see the robes, plain, dark, hooded. They are taller than the men on the cots. Their hems brush the floor without sound. They stand bent over the wounded, hands hidden inside sleeves, heads bowed. One moves. He leans closer to a sleeping paratrooper. The man's belly is bandaged tight. A faint spot of red marks the center of the dressing. The robed figure's hidden face is inches from the cloth. He does not breathe. No fog. No shift of air. The red spot grows. Slow at first, then faster, as if someone is pouring wine under the bandage. I open my mouth. Nothing comes out. Another figure stands at the next cot. The British prisoner. His wound is wrapped thickly. It has not bled since Muller has stitches earlier. Now a line of wetness appears. Dark, then bright, then dark again. It spreads in the shape I have traced with my needle, not from inside out, from the cloth inward, as if the bandage itself is sweating blood back into the flesh. The chanting vibrates in my teeth. One of the figures turns his head toward me. The hood is empty. No face, no skull, no eyes. Only blackness, deep and absorbing. It is not the absence of light. It is the presence of something that eats it. I stumble back. My heel hits a bucket. It tips, clatters. The sound is sharp, ordinary, loud. The cave is suddenly empty. Candles flicker, smoke curling. Men snore. Someone coughs. A mouse skitters in the wall. The bandages on the two wounded glisten. I peel one back. Fresh blood. The line has opened under the stitches, cutting along the curve, ignoring our work. The catgut hangs loose. The skin has pulled away, as if relieved. I should run to Muller, wake him, show him. I do not. I stand there with a bloody dressing in my hand and understand at last what Angelo meant. One wound, one closing. The rest belongs to him. I do not know who he is. Benedict. Some older, rougher saint carved into this rock before anybody wrote his name down. The hill, war itself given a habit. It does not matter. I know my part. From that night, I do not put a second stitch in any line I have seen open once already. Muller shouts at me the first 3 times. Coward. Superstitious idiot. This is not medicine. I stand my ground. Then transfer me, I say. Send me to a line company. Give me a rifle. I will not touch them. I will not shut them again. He does not transfer me. He cannot spare a medic. He works around me. He assigns another pair of hands. He mutters about fatigue and battle stress, but he does not put it in writing. He does not want a note on his record that says one of his men refuses to obey a straightforward order. The men notice. They see that there are certain wounds I will close and others I will not. They begin to talk. Franz makes jokes at first. Better get Weiss the first time, Kameraden. He is like a picky barber. Only cuts once. Then the pattern emerges. Those whose reopened lines I refuse to touch die quickly. They bleed out. They choke on their own fluids. They go glassy. Those whose reopened lines others close do not die here. They wait. They linger. They leave on stretchers. Eyes already sunk. Skin waxy. I watch their names appear on lists days later, with a location that is nowhere and everywhere. Verstorben, Unterwegs, the report says. Deceased in transit. Muller fills them out with a tight jaw. His hands grow shaky. He avoids my eyes. Only one man with a second closed wound stays alive long enough to come back to us. His name is Weber. Radio operator. Thin, sarcastic, from Hamburg. He always rolls his own cigarettes with one hand. The other hand fiddles with his headset, even when it is not on his ears. Weber catches the line from a chunk of masonry when an Allied barrage pulls the roof of a dugout down. I close it. It stays quiet for 3 days. He plays cards on his stretcher, jokes about going to Naples for the girls if we ever leave this place. On the 4th night, a shell hits close. Dust falls from the cave ceiling. A candle goes out. Men sit up, swearing. Weber screams. The sound cuts through everything like a beam. I am at his side in 2 strides. The bandage over his belly bulges. It is not just swelling. It moves. Something presses from inside, pushing the cloth outward in slow, obscene pulses. Get it off, he gasps. Get it off me. It's too tight. I cut the bandage. The wound has opened, wider than before. The edges are not flesh-colored anymore. They are gray, like old stone. The inside is black, not blood black, tunnel black. A draft comes out of it, cold. It smells of damp rock and incense. Weber's hands claw at the air. Close it, he shrieks. For God's sake, close it, Weiss. I do not move. I cannot. Franz lunges forward. Hold him, he yells. Muller appears, hair wild, glasses askew. He slaps gauze on the wound. His fingers sink in deeper than they should. His face goes white. What is this? He whispers. The bandage under his palms sinks a little, as if someone inside has grabbed it from below. His hands jerk downward. The skin around the wound ripples, pulling with him. He tries to pull back. He cannot. His hands are stuck. His fingers seem to be caught inside the gauze, which is now no longer gauze, but something else. It looks like cloth. It feels like a mixture of fabric and muscle. It clings. Help, Muller gasps. Cut it. Cut it off me. I grab his wrist. His pulse beats fast, rabbit-like. The chanting starts again, louder now, right in the cave. Men sit up on their stretchers, eyes wide. Some make the sign of the cross, slow and clumsy. Others press their palms over their ears. But the sound is inside as much as outside. A shadow rises behind Muller, hooded, tall. It bends over him and Weber like a butcher over a carcass. The candlelight bends around its outline, as if it is pulling it in. I see, for an instant, something like a hand emerge from the sleeves. It is not bone, not flesh, a shape made of absence. It lays itself over Muller's joined hands, and the wound. He screams. The sound stops mid-breath. His mouth stays open. His throat moves. No noise comes out. The bandage contracts once, like a muscle. When it relaxes, Muller's hands come free. They are white, not pale. White like marble. The skin has no color, no blood. They look carved. The nails are dull. He stares at them, eyes bulging. Weber's wound is gone. There is no line, no scar, nothing. His belly is smooth and pale, as if nobody has ever touched it. He reaches down, disbelieving. His fingers meet cold skin. He laughs once, high and bright. The sound breaks and falls flat. His eyes roll up. He goes limp. No breath, no pulse, no wound. We bury Muller's hands in bandages from that night on. He cannot hold instruments. He cannot write. They shake. Not from age, from the effort of making them move. They feel nothing. When a flame licks them, he does not react. When a needle goes in, he does not bleed. They send him back to the rear. The replacement doctor does not ask why I refuse certain wounds. He does not have time to care. The monastery becomes rubble. The line shifts. We fall back. Then forward. Then back again. Months smear into one long, wet, gray day. On our last night on that hill, when the order finally comes to withdraw, toward the Gustav line beyond, I stand alone in the entrance to the old aid post. The cave smells of bleach and ghosts. The stretchers are gone. The walls are streaked pale, where blood was scrubbed off and never fully left. Angelo stands outside on the rocky ledge. He has a bundle under his arm. His face is thinner. His eyes are the same. He has seen too many uniforms march through his valley to care which one I wear. "You go," he says in broken German. I nod. He steps closer. He holds out his hand. In his palm is a strip of cloth, dried brown, rough weave. I recognize it. It is the same kind Teresa gave me weeks ago. The one I crushed under my heel and somehow did not destroy. "You keep," he says. "If you forget the rule, he will remind you." "I won't forget," I say. He looks past me, into the dark of the cave. "The monks were there before you," he murmurs. "They were there before my father, before his father, before the big church, before Rome. You think you leave them behind, Tedesco?" He shakes his head slowly. "They walk where the wounds are. We march north. I carry my bag. I do not carry the cloth. I throw it into a ditch halfway down the valley. It lands in mud and disappears. I tell myself I am throwing away superstition. The truth is simpler. I do not want anything in my pocket that ties me to that hill. It does not matter. You do not leave a wound behind. You carry it under the scar. Years pass. Hospitals change. Uniforms change. 4 bags replace glass bottles in my hands. The smell of ether gives way to something else. Men bleed from different weapons. Streets change names. Countries rise and fall. One line does not move. It lies under my skin, above my knee. I earned it in the last week, at casino. A shell splinter came through the wall and bit me while I was bent over a man's leg. I did not even notice until someone shouted about the blood on the floor, and I realized it was mine. They stitched it in a field hospital north of Rome. I told the nurse there not to touch it again if it opened. She laughed. "It will not," she said. "I did it right the first time." She did. 40 years. No trouble. Then, in this home, a year ago, they opened my leg for a bypass. New wound, crossing the old. The surgeon was proud of his work. Clean cut, neat closure, sterile dressing, good circulation. I woke with the old smell in my nose. Stone and incense. The day they tried to change the dressing, the blood came through like water through a cloth. They thought it was a vessel leak. They restitched it. At night, I heard chanting in the hallway. Men in the other rooms moaned in their sleep. One name came up more often than others: Kruger, Weber, Muller, names that do not belong to this generation. I pressed my palm over the bandage and felt the hill behind it. Since then, every time they suggest looking at the wound again, I say no. Ina frowns, but she makes notes on my chart and brings the doctor less often. Sometimes they disturb old scars. She tells the younger nurse. The tissue is fragile. She does not say the word that fits. Door. I lie awake at night in this narrow bed, listening to the radiator knock and hiss. The sound is not pipes. It is a distant bell with a crack in it. It is drops falling onto stone. Sometimes, when the guard at the reception desk falls asleep and the corridor lights dim, I see shapes at the far end. Robes, hoods. They do not come closer. They do not have to. The stain on the floor is enough. It was not here when I arrived. Or maybe I did not see it. Some mornings, it seems darker. Some evenings, it seems wet, though no one has spilled anything there. I know what it is. I know there is another rule under the first one. You can refuse to close the same wound twice. You cannot refuse to carry it. Ina comes back after lunch. She sets the tray aside. Soup untouched, bread dry. She pulls on gloves. "All right, Herr Weiss," she says. "Let's take a look." The doctor wants us to make sure there is no infection. Just a small change of dressing. No new stitches, I promise. She speaks to me the way I used to speak to frightened boys on stretchers. Soft, practical lies. I look at my leg. The dressing is clean. No seepage, no stain. Underneath, there is heat. A slow, steady throb. It is not pain exactly. It is awareness. The wound knows it is being discussed. I look at the stain on the floor. It glistens. Just a little. Not enough for Ina to notice. Enough for me. "Leave it," I say. She sighs. "We have to check it, Herr Weiss. If we leave it too long, it could get worse. You know that. You were a medic. I was. I still am. My hands are old now. They tremble when I raise them. I lay them over the dressing. I press lightly. Under my palm, something shifts. Not tissue. Depth. For a second, it is as if my hand rests on the surface of a pool, and something under the water brushes against it from below. My skin goes cold. "You can't open it," I say. "Not again." She searches my face. "You mean the surgery site?" I shake my head. She laughs nervously. "What else would I mean?" I don't answer. In the corridor, a man in the next room coughs. The sound rattles like stones in a dry cut. A cleaner's cart squeaks past. The wheels jerk over the buckle in the floor. The stain seems to pulse with each bump. "Please," Ina says. "Let me do my job." I take my hands away. My fingers leave no imprint on the cloth. "Then do it quickly," I say. She smiles faintly. "Danke." She picks up the scissors. The metal gleams. The blades slide under the tape. Somewhere below my heart, something tightens. It feels like the night before, an assault, when men sit on crates and check their magazines and crack jokes that aren't funny anymore. The first snip cuts the tape. The second lifts the edge of the dressing. Cold air crawls in. The wound sighs, not audibly, in movement. The skin under the bandage twitches, then settles. I feel it like a voice in my bones. Ina peels the dressing back. She freezes. "What?" she murmurs. "The surgical cut should be pink by now, maybe a little shiny. Instead, it is a straight, dark line. Not scabbed, not raw, just there, as if someone has drawn it with a thin brush dipped in shadow." As she lifts further, crossing the area where the old casino scar lies, the line bends. It curves. It takes on a shape I know. From under my ribs to my flank. From under Kruger's ribs to his flank. From the British soldier's chest to his side. From Weber's belly to his grave. The line on my leg is wrong anatomically. It ignores muscle and bone. It follows a path determined by something else. Ina's lips move. She is counting stitches in her head and finding none. "I don't understand," she whispers. "This looks not like last week." She reaches for a gauze pad. The wound opens. Just a little, enough to show that it is not shallow. There is depth under that line. Darkness that does not reflect the light from the window. A breath comes out of it, cold, smelling of damp stone and candle smoke. Ina jerks back. "Did you feel that?" she says. I nod. Her eyes dart to the stain on the floor. A droplet falls from nowhere. It hits the center of the brown shape and spreads in a tiny ring. She does not see it. She stares at my leg. "I should call the doctor," she says. This is not normal." "I know," I say. She looks at me properly now. Not at my chart, not at the bandage, at me. "What happened to you?" she asks. She does not mean the bypass. She means the thing that looks at her from under this skin when the line moves. I see, over her shoulder, shapes at the end of the corridor, hoods, robes. They stand in front of the exit door. Nobody else seems to notice. A cleaner passes through them with his bucket and mop, as if they are smoke. They do not stir. Ina steps away. "I'll be right back," she says. "Don't touch it." She walks toward the nurse's station. Her shoes squeak. Her shadow is long and thin. The robed figures do not move. They wait. I swing my legs over the side of the bed. It takes time. Bones protest. Muscles complain. I stand anyway. The line in my leg burns. I shuffle to the edge of the stain. Looking down, I see my own reflection in it. Not in brown, in deeper, older, black. The corridor tilts. For a second, I am in the cave again. The walls are stone, not plaster. Candles burn in niches. Men groan. A shell thuds somewhere above. Dust falls in a slow, steady stream from a crack in the ceiling. The table in front of me is empty. Then, in a blink, it holds all of them. Kruger with his twice-cut belly. The British soldier clutching his rosary. Weber with his smooth, unwounded torso and dead eyes. Muller with his white hands folded on his chest. They lie side by side, bandages soaked, lines open. A shadow moves between them. Robes brush the floor. Hoods bend. Hands never appear. The chanting swells. I clamp my jaw so hard my teeth ache. When I open my eyes, I am back in the corridor. Ina is arguing with another nurse. The doctor is on his way. She says, "They should not leave the patient alone." The other argues. They push past each other in the doorway. The stain under my feet is dark. The wound in my leg throbs. I know what comes next. One more cut. One more set of hands. One more closing. They will not be mine. I sit back on the bed. By the time the doctor arrives, the dressing is back in place. I have pulled it over myself clumsily, fingers clumsy, heart hammering. He scolds Ina for removing it without him. He decides to wait, to monitor. He says there is no sign of infection. He does not like the look of the line, but he can live with it. So can I for now. At night, I lie with the sheet pulled up to my chest and my hands on top of it. I feel the pressure of the wound under my palms. It responds with its own slow rhythm. Behind it, in some other place that intersects with this one, Only where the skin is thin, I hear footsteps, stone, cloth, a bell that was taken down and still rings. I talk to them sometimes, not out loud. Name's Kruger Weber, the British soldier who asked me not to let anyone close his wound again. Muller, who thought arteries did not care about saints. Their answers come in the way the line twitches, the way the radiator knocks, the way the stain darkens when I roll past it. If I tell this story, it is not because I expect anyone to believe it. I know what it sounds like. Old man, old war, old ghosts. The hill is far away now. The monastery has been rebuilt. Tourists climb its steps and take photographs of the view. Guides talk about strategy and sacrifice. They do not talk about the rooms in the rock under their feet. They do not talk about the rule, una ferita sola. One wound, one closing. The rest is theirs. If you have listened this far, remember something when you turn this off and go back to your day. There are places that do not forget the shape of blood. There are cuts that are not meant to be closed twice. If you ever find yourself in a room where the walls are too old and the air smells of stone and candles, and someone says it's just rust on the floor, and a wound opens along a line that feels too familiar, step back, let it bleed clean. Leave the second stitch to the ones who own it. Stay with the stories that keep bleeding under the scar. And spare a thought when you hear the name Monte Cassino, for the men of Fallschirmjager Regiment 3 and all the others who left more than skin on that hill.